Hey Homeworthy, I'm Samantha. This is my home in Hoboken, New Jersey. I'd love to show you around, so come on in.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. Thank you to Serena and Lily for sponsoring today's episode.
I am Samantha Stathis-Lynch. I'm an interior designer based out of Hoboken, New Jersey. We actually bought this loft style apartment, which was originally the Wonder Bread factory. It was built in about 1910. So we really gravitated towards this apartment specifically. We saw other apartments in the building, but this specific unit because it seemed to have the most original character. You'll see during the tour that there's an entire wall of brick that runs the whole apartment. And there's even little areas where we have the original ironwork from when it was a factory. And since then it's had many lives. It was a furniture manufacturer. And then I think most recently, before the developers bought the building, it was a dance studio. So it's had many lives and we loved the character, which is why we ended up here. So I live here with my husband and our 9-month-old puppy. And it's just the three of us and we love it. I mean, it has a really long hallway, which the dog just runs up and down, and the building has tons of amenities, and we have outdoor space, which we did not have when we lived in Manhattan. We formerly lived in the city for quite a while. So that's one of the reasons why we ended up here. When we first came into this apartment, we knew immediately that we loved it. It was still in kind of rough shape. They were still doing construction. So, you know, not everything was perfect. The floors weren't in, for instance. The patio wasn't done. But it had these huge windows which let in tons of natural light, and you know, it had tons of exposed brick, and it really felt like a loft. My husband, who is actually English, had this dream of living in a New York City style loft apartment, and we had been searching for one for a long time, and I happened upon this spot on Google. Honestly, I was one night just sitting in bed Googling homes, as one does. And this development came up and we contacted our broker and he was like, oh sure, I know that building, let's get you in. So when we first walked in, it was rough, but the kitchen cabinets were in and they were super modern, which I didn't love. It didn't feel like it was cohesive with, you know, the history of the space, the character of the space. So we knew immediately that there were going to be things that we were going to change, but honestly, they were small tweaks. There was no, you know, major renovation or anything like that, which has been great. We'll start over here. This is where my husband works from home. Now that we're in a post-COVID world, he's in Manhattan 3 days a week, but he does work from home twice a week. So I wanted to create a nice little spot for him to, you know, be able to focus, and he has a nice little view of some of the artwork that we've collected over the years. So this is actually a print by a very dear friend of mine who is an architectural and interiors photographer named Trevor Parker. He also is an interior designer, so he's amazing. He's like the jack of all trades. So we have this here. It's actually Delmonico's, which is down in the financial district, which is where my husband works. So he gets to look at this every day. On this wall right here, we have 2 antique prints. These I've inherited from my mother. They're English prints. My husband is actually English, so I thought it would be nice to just kind of give him a little reminder of home. They depict some areas up in North England, and he's actually from North England. And then we just have a smattering of his, personal belongings here, including a really special clock that he was given as a birthday gift. So it's really beautiful. And then from here, we go right into our living space. So we are open plan. So our living room, I wanted it to feel nice and cozy, despite the fact that we're working with 16-foot ceilings. So it feels really expansive in here. And it took us a while to acquire all of the furniture that we actually needed to make it feel cozy. These actually arrived 2 days ago. So, it's always a work in progress. I think as an interior designer specifically, our homes are kind of our laboratories. So to my husband's dismay, I'm constantly changing things and switching things out. So these chairs are very special. They were custom made from Lee Industries in a fabulous Peter Dunham textile. It kind of has a Western flair to it, and we spend a lot of time out West. So we loved these. And then this little side table I inherited again from my mother, who had amazing taste. She was actually an interior designer herself. So I'm lucky that I got to inherit a lot of the pieces from her. And then this bookshelf, which houses my husband's 82-inch TV. Really happy about that one. We had custom made by a company called Soil and Oak. We wanted it to kind of pay homage to the industrial, life that this apartment had. So we went with these industrial pipes. We had them done in this kind of powdered gold finish. So it feels a little bit contemporary, but we just kind of house all of her books and some pictures and little tchotchkes that we've collected over the years. And we also love plants. So we've got quite a few plants inside, but we have a lot more outside. So this is a vintage Danish side table, straight from Denmark. It has this kind of lattice work underneath, which is great, where we house a few books and some magazines. And then it has this beautiful, it's not vintage, but it's an older visual comfort lamp that they don't really make in the same finish anymore. So I was very happy to find this. And then our sofa is a Jenny Kane sofa. It's super comfortable. My husband is 6'5", so we needed something that was long because he likes to lounge on here all the time. So it's just in a neutral linen, which we instantly regretted once we got our dog. And then I just have a smattering of throw pillows. So this is from Robert Keim. This is Guy Goodfellow, Christopher Barcloth, Isabel, and then this is an antique Suzanne from an English company called Bertie Fortescue. And then on the end, we have a blanket that we usually keep outside. It's a Serena and Lily blanket. You can use it for picnics. You can use it on your patio. It's great. So we brought in a lot of eclectic pieces. I think that with the history of the space and, the character and it being over 100 years old, we just wanted to bring back some of the elements that the developers and the contractors had stripped when they were, doing this building. We were lucky in that it was modernized, so, we have great appliances, plumbing, all that good stuff. But we wanted to just layer in vintage and antique pieces and kind of mix that with some mid-century and just color and pattern. And we put in shaker style cabinets, even though there was nothing wrong with the original kitchen cabinets, but it just didn't feel like us. And my husband and I both, while we're not 100% aligned necessarily on every design choice, he also loves kind of, character and roughness. And we wanted to make sure that that came through in the overall space. My style is eclectic, I guess is probably the word that I would use. It's a mix of old and new. I love antiquing. I've inherited antiques. I love finding vintage pieces, but I also like to bring in contemporary pieces as well. So we have a mix here. We have new upholstery, but we have antique chests and just little pieces that make a big difference. I think that conversation between old and new, especially in today's world where, from an environmental perspective, buying what's already been used is super important, and I actually think it's gonna be the way forward. So, it just feels natural for us. So this is our patio, which gets a ton of use. I'm out here all the time when it's warm. Unfortunately, it's a little bit of a rainy day today, but that's okay. We just have our, patio set up here. We have some beautiful Serena and Lily throw pillows, which we love. They just add the perfect pop of color. I have all of my plants kind of lined up here. It's still pretty early in the season, so not everything has bloomed, but we have some limelight hydrangeas. We have Russian sage, lavender, roses, which you can see are just starting to come out. Lilac tree, that's very small, but it's growing. And we just bought some plumbago, which is coming to life. So yeah, it's just a great little space. We entertain out here all the time. We have a grill. In a city, having outdoor space is a game changer. It's a godsend. Now that we have it, I don't think that I could ever move anywhere without it. So we love having this spot. So this umbrella we got at a local store. They do like garden outdoor furniture. There were a few colors in stock. We bought it last summer and we were desperate for something to give us shade because this area from about 8 in the morning until 3 in the afternoon is covered in sunlight, and it gets really hot because of the pavers. So we decided that we needed an umbrella as soon as possible. So we ended up finding this guy, and we just loved the black and white stripe. We just thought it was really charming. So we bought it on the spot, and it's lived here since. So one of the really cool components of living in what was once a factory is that we still get those original details. So behind me, you can see this massive smokestack that's been here for 100+ years. And it's really cool that the developers decided to keep it. It's just like fun being able to walk out onto the patio and see that little piece of history. Like I said, this was the original Wonder Bread factory. So it's pretty cool. So I would love to show you our little powder room, which is a godsend in a city apartment. So come and follow me. Okay, so this is our little powder room, which is a luxury in a city apartment. We wallpapered it in a Cole & Sons wallpaper. It's black and white, so it's a little bit moody. I mean, we don't have any natural light in here, so I thought, why not just kind of feed into that? The vanity and the tiles were here when we bought it. So this was the developer's choice. We swapped out the mirror for something with a little bit of texture and some color and some, we wanted something natural. And then we put in this little paired creation sconce, which we love. And yeah, I mean, it gets a lot of use when we entertain. It's great having a spot that people can just go in and out of very easily. And it's kind of the little jewel box for us. I always love wallpaper. So in this apartment, given how high all the ceilings are, the only logical place and cost-effective place to wallpaper was in the bathroom. So that's what I did. So when I'm sourcing antiques, I have a little bit of an interesting background actually, because I have a master's degree in fine and decorative art history. So the fine art component of that is your classic paintings and sculptures, etc. And then the decorative component is furniture, textiles, wall coverings, all that good stuff. So I'm trained to be able to identify, certain aspects of antique pieces. But when I'm sourcing for myself and for clients, I don't necessarily follow all those rules. I'm not buying a museum-worthy chair. So it's a mix. I like to go antiquing upstate or in Pennsylvania, even locally around here. There's some incredible vintage warehouses that you can find some really cool stuff. And then I also am on Cherish and First Dibs all the time. And honestly, Facebook Marketplace, you can find some great pieces there. So it's just a mix. You know, I think there is something to be said for going antiquing, seeing something in the flesh. And when you know that you love something, buy it, because you're never gonna see it again. So yeah, that's kind of how I go about finding the vintage and the antique and all that good stuff. So the dining area, the focal point here is this stunning piece of art, abstract piece that we got from a gallery in Colorado. It's by an artist named Krista Harris. And we bought this together as a wedding gift to each other. Instead of doing the traditional, you get a gift, you open it up the day of, we found this and we fell in love. So we thought, why not get this in honor of getting married? So we did. And then here we just have a Lee Industries banquette that we put in for comfortable dining, but also if we want to work here, we can, and it's super comfy. And then we have these beautiful Serena and Lily chairs that we love. We just got these in and they're perfect. And then we just have over here, this is kind of a smattering of vintage pieces. So this is an antique French pillar, which we saw in an antique store. We absolutely loved it, and we brought it home. And then this is antique iron French mirror. So we have a lot of antiques in this area. I would say that in our home, we probably have about, I would say like 40-50. So 40% vintage or antique, and then, well, I guess it's 40-60. So then 60% new. And yeah, we have a beautiful Vaughan lamp right here with a Bunny Williams shade that I'm in love with. When I got this, I was so ecstatic because it has this really fun crackled texture to it. It's just absolutely beautiful. Moving into our kitchen, this kitchen, so when we moved in, these cabinets were white. They were made out of melamine. They were fine. They were not my style. They were not what I thought worked well with the aesthetic of the apartment. So we ended up putting in custom cabinetry just in a simple shaker style in a really dark, rich blue that has a little bit of green to it. The reason being, this space gets so much natural light that I thought something to kind of ground it a little bit would be good. We can go dark on these because when you look around you, it really doesn't look dark in here at all. This tap brings me a lot of joy. I absolutely love this thing. We had it installed probably 6 months ago. Originally, there was just a brushed nickel Kohler piece, which was fine, but I wanted brass. It's an unlacquered finish, and now every time I do the dishes, or my husband does the dishes, like it's just a little joy. Those little moments, swapping those out, the little pieces, can, you know, bring a lot of happiness to your everyday life. And then over here, we created a little bar. Unfortunately, there's no power on this wall because we have our wonderful brick, but this was an interesting space when we first moved in. It was super raw. This, where you can see it goes in on both sides, was all cinder block, just exposed cinder block. So we were wondering thinking about how we could utilize the space. And so I had them make a custom bar that kind of fits into this, what I would imagine was the original doorway or, loading dock maybe when this was a factory. And then we just tiled it with some fire clay tile, and it gets a lot of use. We store a lot of stuff underneath. I will not show you that because it's quite a mess, but we do have tons of glasses. I have some, I actually strictly have vintage or antique glassware. So we have some vintage hand-cut glasses. We have some beautiful porcelain that I've inherited over the years. So yeah, it just houses all of our little fun pieces. I am an avid floral lover. I love flowers. My husband grew up in the English countryside, and he grew up in a 200-plus-year-old cottage, and his mother is an incredible gardener. So his entire property is just covered in flowers and color, and it's just absolutely beautiful. So we always have flowers in the house. These flowers, it's a mix of flowers that I picked up from the market yesterday, and then some of these are actually from an event that I did a week ago for the Lenox Hill House neighborhood and gala, and it was absolutely spectacular. So some of these have actually stayed alive. And then we have some of my favorites over here, which are delphiniums. They're so beautiful. The color is incredible. Obviously, as you can see, we love the color blue. And then over here, I made the mistake of ordering 100 viburnum. So we have so many of these stems. I was trying to like fill the house with them. We have probably 60 sitting outside in a bucket because there are so many of them. And then, you know, we just love plants, and out on our patio, I'm out there all the time in the warmer months gardening. We have roses, hydrangeas, plumbago, a lot of different stuff. And we put vegetables out there when it's nice. So yeah, we're avid gardeners and floral lovers. So we entertain fairly often. I am usually standing right here, putting together food and drinks and, you know, hosting away. And then I would say usually these bar stools are filled. So we have 4 bar stools right here. These get filled up with people. And then behind you where our living area is, you know, we usually have people sitting on the sofa, sitting on our chairs. The whole apartment is filled. And then we actually, if it's warm out, we'll just keep the outdoor patio door wide open, and people will be outside, inside, we'll play music. I love to cook. So between cooking and flowers, I mean, hosting is just something that I love to do. So we do have people over quite a bit. My favorite part about my home, that is tough. I think that, I love how much natural light we get. I would probably say, apart from that, maybe it's the exposed brick, because it just adds a layer of texture and warmth, honestly, that is really hard to come by. You know, you see brick on an exterior, but not really in an interior. And it really does give it the loft vibe that, you know, really made us buy this place in the first place. I'd love to show you the rest of the house, but first we're gonna talk about this wonderful runner that we have. So this runner was actually a gift from my father, who bought a massive rug for his home, for his dining room. And there was so much left over that they turned some of it into a runner. And he actually shipped it out from Colorado to New Jersey for me. And obviously this is a super long hallway, so not many things that you can just buy online are easy to come by. So we were very lucky in that we got to take this beautiful rug. So, and it's super soft, so we love it. And our dog literally runs up and down this hallway when she gets the zoomies like every day. This is another print from the same person who did the print that's above my husband's desk, Trevor Parker. He took this, it's Grand Central Station. He took this during COVID, so there was no one there. And it's pretty wild to see it completely empty. And my husband absolutely loved this when he saw it online. So I bought him a massive one for his birthday. And every time we walk by it, we get to see a little bit of New York, which we love. And then over this way, firstly, we have another great rug. This is a rug that we got in Morocco. Actually, my mother bought it while we were on a family trip to Morocco, and I inherited it. So we love this thing. This is a special piece of art because this was from my aunt and uncle as a wedding present, because my husband and I got married on Lake Como, and you can actually see in this watercolor our wedding venue right there. So it was a really sweet present. They bought it while they were in Italy, and we absolutely love it. And then over here, this is another antique piece that's super special. I inherited this from my mother. I absolutely love it. I think that it's just such a charming painting. I'm not positive, but to me it looks like a Puglia landscape because you have this, the type of home, I don't even know what they're called, that you see in Puglia, Italy. So I just love it. I just think it's charming. And then over here, we have two things. We have this wonderful photo, which we got in Colorado. My husband loved it. It's a black wolf. They're super rare, so it's pretty cool that it was captured. And then this is just an antique, I guess, letter drawer that we got. So I am of the belief that a home should tell the story of the people who live there. So as soon as you walk into a space, you should be able to identify components that make up the family and their character and their personality. So I think that what makes a home feel like home is, taking your time and choosing things that you actually love, not buying fast furniture. I understand that sometimes that's what has to happen, but I think that, giving character to a space through items that hold a memory, or maybe that, you just absolutely have to have when you see, I think that's super important. And I think that honestly, to an extent, the more furniture and decor, the better. I think that something that makes a home feel really homely is when you look around and there's furniture beyond furniture and there's art on as many surfaces as possible. I think that's really what gives a home a soul. And now over here is my office. So it was a battle with my husband over who got to use the second room as an office, but because I work in the design world and I have all these lovely fabrics and I have samples everywhere, I got the space. So I actually painted this trim work recently. I just finished it this week. It was like an off-the-cuff thing that I decided to do. It's in a beautiful Fairwind Ball color that I absolutely love. It just brings a little bit of life into the space. And then over here where my desk is, I obviously have my very large computer, but I have this very pretty antique desk that was actually my mother's desk. And when she was an interior designer, this is where she did her work. So I just felt like it was something to keep, and it's not in the best shape, but I love it so much that I can't part with it. And then this is actually a portrait of my mother as a young girl. And I just loved the colors. It's a little bit moody, but the greens and the blues, and there's a little bit of purple, I just loved. So I brought that in here as well. And then over here, we have an antique chest of drawers. I have two of these. I have one in here and I have one in my primary bedroom. And I love them. They're super special. Again, I inherited these, so I was very, very lucky. And I want to say they're like 200 years old. So they're very old. Not in the best shape. They probably should be restored, but I love them. And I hide tons of stuff in here, tons of samples, all that good stuff. And then over here, this is a nifty little thing. So I use this for when I'm scheming. So I do have this, and I'll put samples up here, but sometimes when I'm playing around, I'll use this surface area. What's underneath here is actually a Murphy bed. So when we do have friends and family stay over, as I said, my husband is English, so we'll have, people visiting for extended periods of time. This can pull out and it becomes a queen size bed, which is great. And it's actually very comfortable. So this is a print that I got from when I was working for a company called One Kings Lane before I decided to go off and work on my own. And we used to have these crazy warehouse sales for the staff, and this was on sale. I mean, it's cracked. So anything that we weren't selling to customers, we had, dibs on. So I got it and I love it. I mean, it's just so pretty with the flowers and the greens and the yellows. And then this painting my grandmother actually painted. So I've kind of grown up around creatives. I mean, my mother was a designer. My grandmother was not a professional artist, but she painted a lot. So I think that's always kind of influenced me in a lot of different ways. This is our primary bedroom. Again, we have these super high ceilings. There's no brick in this space, but it's kind of nice because I was able to paint everything in this beautiful Pharaoh and Ball color that I use all the time, Cromartie. It's just absolutely gorgeous. It's a green, it has a little bit of gray in it, and it just is so soothing and calming, and that's really what I wanted to evoke in this room. So our big bed, we've had this bed for years, the bed frame. It's seen better days, but we love it, so we've kept it. The bedding is by Serena and Lily. It's this beautiful pistachio color, which kind of plays with the walls nicely. And then it has this crisp white, which has this beautiful embroidery. It's a sateen, which is super soft. I swear my husband slept in these for the first time and was like, this is the most comfortable bedding I've ever slept in. Like, we're never using any of the other sheets. So they're very nice and they're super comfortable and super beautiful. And then over here, we have a pair of vintage chairs that I drove all the way out to the North Fork of Long Island to pick up. And I had reupholstered in a Pierre Fray fabric, which I absolutely love. These were originally in our living room with this rug. However, our puppy destroyed the rug that was in our bedroom. So I decided to kind of switch it up a little bit. As the designer always does, it was kind of an opportunity to change things. So we brought the rug and the chairs into the bedroom, and it actually works great because the background color of this fabric is pretty much the same color as the wall. So it's perfect. And then this is the twin to the chest that we have in my office. Again, we house a lot of stuff in here. So it's super useful as well as being, beautiful. You can see on the bottom, my puppy had a nice time on it, which is pretty sad, but that's okay. Adds character. And then we have this massive drape that comes all the way across the window. The shade store did this for us. It's huge, it's super heavy. I didn't really know how to properly dress this window. I have to sleep in blackout. I don't like having light. So the only option was really to just go with one massive curtain. So on our window, again, this window was so big that I needed to come up with a way to make it look pretty, make it feel full. So what I did was I bought all of these antique books that are actually not, there's no color on them. They're neutral. Which just felt kind of calm for a bedroom. We live with a lot of color. I love color and pattern. Our living room has tons of it. And we do have pattern and color in here, but I wanted it to feel a little bit calmer. So it's pretty cool though. Some of these have gold leafing on them. It's probably kind of hard to tell, but so it's all gold leaf here, which is really special. And you don't really notice it from afar, but when you're looking at it up close, it's just a little bit of pizzazz. So we have a bunch of these, which I just love. I think that the sort of unbound look is really cool. I mean, like the texture that you get from something like this is really unexpected, but it's just absolutely beautiful. And these are old and they're hand done and it's old paper and it smells like an old library, which I love. And then we just have, again, some Serena and Lily lamps here. Another print by my friend Trevor Parker. This is actually of Perry Street in the West Village, an area that we spent a lot of time in. So I thought, why not bring a little piece of the West Village to Hoboken? These are two landscape paintings. One of them is of a place that's very near and dear to my heart, Telluride, Colorado. I grew up spending a lot of time out there. So just reminds me of my favorite place on earth. And then this is actually antique and it's super old and it's really pretty. I mean, you can see that it's not in the best condition. It's chipping, but I love it, so I kept it. And I'm gonna take you into our bathroom. This is our primary bathroom. We're actually about to wallpaper it, so it's gonna look a little different soon, but you know, it's just your typical bathroom. We have a double vanity, which is a luxury in a city. And you know, it's useful, we like it. So yeah, it's nothing crazy, but it does the job. Home is a space that you feel safe in, that you feel connected to, and that you love going to every day, right? We're here a lot, especially in a post-COVID world where things have changed. You know, you should love everything that goes into your home. That might take time. It doesn't happen overnight. I mean, we moved in here about 2 years ago, and we're still bringing in pieces that we find and switching things out. And it's totally fine if it's not immediate when you first move into a space. But I think that I love coming home and seeing all these little pieces that remind me of a certain time or a certain place, and that just really bring joy, right? I mean, I changed our kitchen tap, and even that little thing makes doing the dishes a lot better. So I think that home is just a place that you should walk into and fall in love with all over again, every time.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.